which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to today's August 26, 2019. Roll call.
Beecher. Here. Basil.
Here.
Whalen.
Here.
Capros.
Here.
Meyer. Here. Rouse.
We have the minutes of August 12th. Are there any changes? If not, is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion made. Is there a second?
Second.
Or is there a second? Any questions? Roll call.
Missouri. Yes. Basil.
Yes.
Whalen.
Yes.
Rouse.
Yes.
Meyer. Yes.
Clerk's report.
Total tax income received since our last meeting, which was held on July 15th, is $263,078.71. And we got in the pull tabs and jar games money this month, so it's actually broken down by charitable games and pull tabs. Mayor, anybody wants to see the breakdown, I can show it to them.
State made more money than the 4th of July.
One more thing, the Chicago Southland Chamber of Commerce has provided invites to all of the board members. It's sitting at your table here in an envelope for their awards luncheon, which will be held on October 2nd. It's from 11:30 to 1:30, and their lunch program includes U.S. Congresswoman Robin Kelly and J.B. Pritzker, the governor. So there's 3 of us planning on going. If anyone wants to attend, please let us know soon, because we can get a whole table and get a cheaper rate, or we can pay individually depending on who wants to be there. And you all should have postcard invites on your table in front of you.
I mean,
It's
carpool
addressed
from here,
directly to you.
because it's up in Oklahoma.
Maybe a little conference in neighborhood that it's not close.
Anyone from the audience wish to address the board? If not, Finance and Administration Committee, Trustee Beecher.
Okay, consider a resolution of participation in the state and federal surplus property program. This does not mean we are buying or searching for anything at this time, but a new resolution is required for us to be a participating member for 4 more years. This program, where we can obtain surplus equipment for little or no cost. Please see the enclosed application. So, resolution number?
2019-09.
-09. Okay, I'd like to make resolution 2019-09, participation in the state and federal surplus program, property program.
Motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
There is a second. Any questions? Roll call.
Meyer. Yes. Capros.
Yes.
Whalen.
Yes.
Basil.
Yes.
Missouri. Yes.
The Southwest Area Health Management Insurance Pool update. The village current fund is a balance of $100,134, with $33,670 of this amount being unrestricted. This is what has been retained since we began in the program in 2013. Please see the enclosed report. Any questions or concerns? Third item is the Illinois Municipal Insurance Cooperative Liability Insurance Pool update. Currently, this new pool formed in 2013 with the village as a founding member has accumulated $634,139 in unrestricted fund balance, which is being paid back to the members over time in the form of dividends according to the formula approved by the board last year. Please see the enclosed report. And Avavar Government Solutions Quarterly Report. The date, they found revenue, up to date, they found revenue only totaling $2,195.84 this year for Avavar. That's being allowed to bill for 1/2 of this monthly amount. So this service didn't cost us anything, so whatever they found, we get half, they get half. If there's any questions, that ends my report.
Public Buildings and Properties, Parks and Recreation.
I do not have any report.
Planning, Building, and Zoning, Trustee Missouri.
Okay, thank you. The Planning and Zoning Commission is going to meet this Thursday, the 29th. We're going to review the proposed comprehensive plan in a workshop session. to consider a proposal from Safe Build to amend building permit fees. Safe Build has not increased its fees since 2014 and approached last month with a new fee schedule based on square footage. Peatone has already adopted these new fees. Since we had our discussion at the last meeting about a flat fee, I asked Safe Build to consider a flat fee for all residential construction, regardless of the size of the unit, and they came back with a proposal of $1,500 per unit. The company also ran a comparison between the flat fee and the square footage fee adopted by Peatone, and this comparison is enclosed. Safe Build would agree to either one of the fee increases. The building inspector we have from Safe Build will be at the meeting to explain the proposed fee changes and answer any questions.
That would be Tom.
That would be me.
So go ahead, Tom, explain this proposal.
As mentioned from the memo, Safe Built hasn't had any increases with the village since 2014. And in 2014, that was a 1 cent per square foot increase in the permit fees. The miscellaneous fees haven't increased in cost since 2003. So this is really our first increase. With the houses, we do approximately 17 inspections on every single new house, both including plumbing, electrical, HVAC, and building. So, but I did check with corporate, and if the village does decide that you want to go with the flat fee to try to encourage additional growth and fill up some of these vacant lots, the company has agreed to the $1,500 fee that was suggested.
So if we adopt a $1,500 flat fee, then there would be no cost to the village for a building permit if we waived all the other fees, like we discussed at the last meeting. So it's a pass-through on the $1,500. The popcorn, what I call popcorn permits, sheds, fences, decks, they're gonna average out to about $10 to $15 more per permit. And they haven't gone up since '03, so my question to Tom was, well, if we approve this, how many years will it be before you come back? And he said, well, it's been many years since we've raised them to begin with, and second of all, we have a 30-day out clause.
Correct. And any increase has to be approved by the board anyway.
That's correct. So if you wanna do it again, you gotta come back to us.
Correct.
But I think this is fair, it's reasonable, and it achieves the board's goal of implementing a flat fee, and we know exactly what our costs are. Now, you're gonna make out on larger homes, because typically the fee on those homes are a lot higher. Where the company will make out is on townhomes, because typically a townhome fee would be less, because we're not using it on square footage anymore, it's a flat fee of $1,500 even.
And hopefully this would encourage some of those townhomes that have, the lots that have been sitting there undeveloped. I haven't issued a permit for a townhome in the 4.5 years that I've been working with the village. So hopefully it would encourage the development of some of those lots.
We were already in discussion on the square foot rate when this fee came up last meeting, and I asked Tom, would you consider, or his company, go back to the bosses and consider a flat fee based toward, instead of a square footage fee, like Peatone adopted. So everyone knows coming in the door what their permit's gonna be.
Questions, or is there a motion?
Sounds fair.
I make a motion to consider a proposal from Safe Build to amend building permit fees to a flat rate of $1,500 per permit.
Motion on the floor, is there a second? Second. There's a second, any questions?
I have one comment. Do we have to put this in the form of a formal agreement that the board has to approve?
You would have to approve a revision to our contract.
So then the motion would be authorizing the president and clerk to sign that new contract when it comes. Because this is just a proposal, it's not in legal form.
Correct.
So I do then, I stand corrected, I make a motion to authorize the village clerk and president to sign the proposal from Safe Build to move forward with a flat fee of $1,500 per permit.
And an increase in the smaller permit fees,
And an increase in the smaller permit fees.
per the table.
Okay with that?
Yes.
Motion on the floor, and there is a second. Any other questions? Roll call.
Missouri?
Yes.
Basil?
Yes.
Yes. Capros?
Yes.
Meyer?
Yes.
While the building inspector is here, does anyone have any questions of the building department? We only see him once a year, maybe less. One question that did come up is, we had an issue, and I want to get it on the public record. There was I guess what you would classify a misobservation on the bollards for the gas main behind the Dunkin' Donuts. And when it was brought to our attention, we put a cement barrier there, but the fire district in their inspections still wrote in their inspection form they wanted bollards there. We thought the cement divider would be sufficient. So what do we do in a case like that? Do we make the building owner put the bollards in, or do we?
The building owner has been notified that the bollard is required. There currently are two bollards, there's one right at the corner of the building, and then there's one just on the other side of the gas meters. The code requires that you have bollards to protect the gas meters. When, we were originally working on the first two units, there was no traffic going near the gas meters, so the other two bollards were sufficient. When we added the Dunkin' Donuts drive-through, we now have traffic turning in very close to those. And it was a total, I'm looking at the other end of the building and I missed it. And it was brought to our attention. We contacted the owner immediately and advised him he was gonna have to put bollards in there to protect it. He agreed. He didn't move quickly enough, so the administrator had Public Works put the concrete barricade there. I think it would be sufficient to protect it, but it's not the most attractive thing in the world. And we're still working on the owner, who sometimes isn't the quickest to move, to get those installed. My understanding that we are actually starting, I don't want to say prosecution, but stronger attempt to get them installed. But that was my error.
So we will continue to
Correct.
proceed with trying to get him to put the bollards in.
I personally feel that that concrete barricade that Public Works put up there will protect you. They're not going that fast, and they're not going to be any more protected than if you had a bollard there. So it just isn't attractive.
What time's here? Are there any other questions that anyone may want to ask? Okay.
And at any time, I report directly to the administrator, and Bob and I talk a great deal about issues. If there are ever any concerns, you can either contact me directly, but preferably through the administrator, and I will get the answers to you as quickly as possible.
And you're here on Tuesdays, is that your office hours?
I'm here Tuesdays and Thursdays. However, in all the towns that I work in, this is the only town where I have a secure office. So Bob allows me to use that as my local office. So I've got my computer, my laptop and my printer here. So, I spent all day here today, which makes me available if emergencies come up, but yet the village isn't being charged for it, and I get the benefit of the secure office.
And it's a pretty centrally located spot for you to go to the other
Correct.
towns.
'Cause I also, besides running all of the safe-built towns from the state line to Ottawa and Oak Lawn and LaGrange, I actually do the paperwork and inspections for Sauk Village, Beecher, and Peatone. So it's and I live in Manhattan, so it's kind of wonderful for me.
Moving on with the agenda.
Okay, so, for our next topic, considering the motion authorizing the village to draft an ordinance placing a moratorium on all fees for new residential construction, where I'm asking to table that till the next meeting. And the next thing I have is considering a motion authorizing the referral of a proposed zoning ordinance permitting the sale of recreational cannabis by special use permit in certain zoning districts. This was discussed in May, but no formal action was taken. This motion refers it to the PZC for review and public hearings. This action does not mean that the board has approved the ordinance, and each establishment wishing to sell has to follow the proposed ordinance and go through a special use permit process, which triggers another hearing and approval by the village board. Staff is pushing this issue since if we do not have something in place by January 1st, 2020, we will be considered an unregulated community. So we can agree to prohibit the sale or regulate the sale, but if we do not take action, we may have no say over the sale. We have no say over possession and use, which is protected by state law. The proposed ordinance is an Illinois Municipal League model ordinance, which has been tweaked by the village attorney to present to the PZC for workshop and hearings. So,
Well, I'd like to say a few things. I know we're only sending this for an ordinance, but I just feel really strongly about this situation. Our Springfield legislators never gave the residents of Illinois a chance to vote on this. We're the only state that didn't get a chance to vote for marijuana legal or not. I don't believe it has any place in Beecher as sales. And the revenue we're talking about getting from this, are we talking $1,000 a day sales, 3%? Over a year is $9,000. I mean, the residents I've talked to and are against this, and I just wanted to make my point to the board. In Colorado, there was 272 municipalities. 189 of them opted out. Denver has all of them, the big cities. I think in a farming community is not the place for it. I think it's in the big cities. They can do the sales. The state still will get the revenue. We can't do anything about that, but that's my feelings.
does anyone have any other comments?
I will. As far as I'm concerned, whether or not I agree or disagree with whether or not it's legal, I feel like since we cannot regulate the fact that people are allowed to use it, to own it, to buy it somewhere, I would really prefer that if they're gonna buy it, they're not gonna go buy it in the town next door and then come here and use it and create all the problems for us. I would rather get the revenue for it. That's just my thought.
And can I remind everybody that right now, keep an open mind about everything, it should go to zoning, who should make a recommendation back to us, and then we should consider whatever they do as well.
Yep.
Just reminding everybody that. Anyone else have any comments?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm open and interested to see what planning and zoning does with this. You know, what people gotta remember is there's, you know, other communities that, have actually already done this, and I've heard and read about them, keeping it in industrial areas and stuff like that, where it's not on the main street of town and that, and, you know, I'm not here to debate what, you know, Illinois State legislation did. What they've done is create something that's, affected us as a community, whether we're rural or urban. And it's, you know, I'm kinda along the lines of what Trustee Meyer said, is you can't stop it, you can't stop anybody from bringing it into Beecher, you can't stop your next door neighbor from using it or doing it, you know, on their property, and so on and so forth. And if someone's gonna sell it, I think, we've all sat there and looked at our 5-year financial plan. We're coming up with different ideas as far as things to try to create, other growth. And the fact of the matter is that there's 2 things we can do, right? When you're in trouble, you gotta, create more revenue, you've gotta reduce expenses. There's only certain ways we can create more revenue, and that's with more development or taxes. And I think I know how everybody on this board feels about raising taxes by what we've done over the last 7 years. So we gotta look at other options, and that's other forms of revenue. Either that, or it's time to come to the table next budget meeting and be prepared to start cutting and slashing. And that can involve people and jobs and everything else. And if somebody can turn around the corner and buy it in another community and bring it here, or us being able to have it here, you know, I'm open to hear what they got to say, definitely.
That part was taken out of our hands. We had no choice. We have a choice in this, so everyone has to vote their own conscience.
Yeah.
Scott, you have anything?
No, I just think that the zoning and planning should hear it. I think it's due process through public hearings and everything else.
Is there a motion?
So I make a motion authorizing the referral of the proposed zoning ordinance permitting the sale of recreational cannabis by special use permit in certain zoning districts to PCC.
Motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
Questions on the motion? Roll call.
Meyer,
Yes.
Caprows,
Yes.
Whaling,
Yes.
Basil,
No.
Missouri.
Yes.
Under Public Safety Committee, it's self-explanatory, but I'm going to ask tonight to table everything, or basically inform you that Trustee Cross will have more information at the next meeting. Public Works Committee, Trustee Cross.
Wastewater treatment plant project update. 444,000 gallons of liquid sludge was removed from the plant on July, allowing work to begin on the digesters and orbital ditch. Our inability to remove the sludge due to the wet conditions in the spring, and the village's vendor being once delayed on that project. The diesel bypass pumps also have a hose issue, which we're still trying to work out. We discussed having an open house and a ribbon cutting, but it's looking more like the spring than the fall due to this. Number two, consider a motion authorizing an extension of time for the completion of the wastewater treatment plant project to November 8th, 2019 for substantial completion, and December 27, 2019 for final completion. IHC and Baxter Women agreed to not charge the village for any additional expense for this extension. So in theory, this delays our loan repayment schedule. So there's also a letter enclosed where they kind of explain that things kind of got held up with the weather and then the sludge removal. Does anyone have any questions? Not? I'll go ahead and make a motion authorizing an extension of time for the completion of the wastewater treatment plant project to November 8th, 2019 for substantial completion, and December 27, 2019 for final completion.
Motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
There's a second, any questions? Roll call.
Missouri,
Yes.
Basil,
Yes.
Whaling.
Yes.
Caprows.
Yes.
Meyer.
Yes.
Alright, Matt, you ready? You're showing now lead service line removal project update.
I've been working with Robinson, pretty hands-on with them. They're in the process of talking with the EPA. We're doing some locating on the west side of town, marking water mains and B boxes so they can create their own GIS system. So they're moving through the process. I don't really have a timeline of where we're at compared to where they want us to be. I really don't have that information.
Alright, Dixie Highway water main design proposals are due in September. And the superintendent will present them next month for review. Stump removal program update, I seen them.
Yeah, BMS landscaping ground, I believe 43 or 44 stumps, and I believe we've cleaned out 20 to 25. We still have some to go, but we were shorthanded last week and we didn't get to any of them, so they are ground, we just have to clean them out and restore the area.
Those are the ones with the orange cones in the parkway, right?
Yeah.
And then last, road patching update.
We're supposed to be here this Friday or Saturday. I kind of expressed my feelings towards them that this process is taking a little longer than I would have liked. We signed that proposal at the end of June. They told me that they finally got a hard date of either Friday or Saturday, weather depending. So, we'll see what happens.
Last one, consider a replacement for open position in Public Works. Jake Pevion resigned to pursue a baseball career through a scholarship opportunity he had. We met before the meeting, and we discussed what we're looking at doing is, opening up applications again. There was one that was, extremely highly rated, on that last hire process a couple months ago. So we are gonna encourage, and ask them to come back for a second interview. There's no need for them to apply again. And then we're gonna see what else comes in. I'm gonna kinda, never know what's gonna happen. So, as long as everyone's okay with it, we're looking at running an ad starting tomorrow with Indeed again. That seems to be where we get our best, action. And it's gonna run through the 13th. After the 13th, Matt will evaluate the resumes and applications, and our goal is to have interviews set up and completed on the 23rd, which is our second meeting in the month of September, that afternoon, and have a recommendation for the board to approve that night at the meeting on the 23rd. So if there's no other questions, that concludes my report.
Economic Development, trustee Meyer.
Sesquicentennial update. The book is currently in the first draft of text form and will be given to the publisher for detailed work on layout and design. Chapters and outline are complete and photo selection will soon begin. We have to decide what to do on Sunday, August 2nd, 2020. Talked about a community church picnic. And the entire village board is now on the Sesquicentennial Committee, so you have to learn how to pronounce it. Now that we have a committee of the whole structure. Street dance is Friday, July 25th on Gould Street, and the laser light show will be the night of the Summerfest on Saturday, August 1st. And did these get handed out to everybody, or?
Yes, I just have one, so they're all up to speed.
Just different concepts of what we might be
Yeah.
considering.
The one question came up is, you usually book a band the year before the event, so do you want the mayor to provide you with some ideas for the band for Gould Street?
Just provide you ideas. Or you want me to go ahead and try and find it?
You can try to find one. Do we have a budget for a band? We do, 15?
Do we know if there's any interest on Gould Street, businesses that's gonna go down there, or is it just gonna be for the two bars? I mean, do we know other businesses that are gonna go down and participate in it?
Okay. So what's the answer to the question about the band? Look for a
I was just looking at the budget. It looks like we have a small line item budgeted. Well, we also brought up the cost of, are we gonna get sponsorships, or are we gonna, we might have to decide on money first.
The one question is usually on that day, the Lions Club has a band, so who's getting the band? Us for them?
Well, no, that's the weekend after, that's the Saturday
Okay,
after.
that's right, I'm sorry.
That's the next Saturday.
Yeah, because if we did the street dance thing, that was
And
the
this is on a Friday?
Friday before.
I got you. I'll tell you what, I'll look for a band and I'll run a band.
Okay.
To your question, Frank, I don't know.
Well, yeah, I'm saying, how much interest is in that? I mean, I know we were trying to push this for a street thing, but if there's no interest from the community, why are we, I'm just,
Well, have we polled the community? I mean, it's a
No.
year from now.
no, something should go out to the local food vendors to see if anyone's even interested.
Well, did we talk to the bars about it?
The bars,
Informal.
I mean, they're there anyway.
Right.
well, I can look at this back to the days when we had a street dance and we had it on Reed Street with no
Right.
businesses and we served food. So if there's no other interest, then either we come up with somebody to serve food or the bars are just gonna serve their food and let's move on.
Well, you got, both the bars down there serve food,
Right.
right? One of the other places you got that serve food in the village.
McDonald's.
Sophia's,
Which isn't
Tony's,
gonna move.
Sophia's,
Tony's,
Nero's,
Princess,
Nero's,
3 or 4.
Habanero's,
Habanero.
probably one
Habanero,
Chinese
5,
place.
Chinese.
Your Chinese.
I think the
Chinese
idea
place.
that
Yeah.
we should maybe send a letter out saying this is what we're thinking and try and feel it out, but even then, I think we got the food covered down there anyways, so let's have a street dance and maybe we won't have to bother about the food because they're already there.
Right.
So I don't think.
I think that's what we were
Well,
talking about to begin with.
And, yeah. Cause, I mean, well, I don't know, I'm not involved in this at all, so I don't know.
There you are
what
now.
the others
There you
are. I don't know what I mean. But I mean, did you guys do, like, I mean, like, I'm thinking like with what Frank said, how many of our local restaurants participate in the village, 4th of July? There's food vendors up and down that, right?
Mhm.
Usually it's community organizations, Lions Club does their thing, the church does their thing, right? I mean, it's not even local restaurants that participate in it. The taco burrito guy, which I love, I mean, he's down there every year, I mean, but those are all businesses that aren't there. I mean, is that what you're looking for? I don't know, I'm too new to this to even ask questions, but I don't know if you limit it to just local restaurants even participating, if there's other food vendors that wanna, food
My
trucks.
first thought is, let's pull our local vendors first and to go from there. Food trucks, that's another idea.
And that food truck was, I had some of that, I ate a lot. It was only there a couple of days, so I had to get it, you know what I mean? But that food fest, man, that sausage, I think it was at Northwoods thing or something that I.
Yeah, let's see what, just with that little part, and we'll go from there. But we gotta do that soon.
And this is kind of an off weekend, we might be able to get some of those vendors for the 4th of July.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other suggestions?
And then the next thing is, ideas for the fall newsletter. Does anybody else have questions about any of that, or any other comments about sesquicentennial? All right, ideas for the fall newsletter, we're gonna be putting it out again, and if anybody has any ideas for articles. Always looking forward to it.
Obviously, our celebration is probably a given, but before I forget to say something.
What was that?
The sesquicentennial celebration, there should be an article in there, and then maybe in there
Yes.
we could look for a local participation type thing, build it up. In the meantime, we'll send out another letter,
Yep. Okay, that's all I have to report.
if that's okay with you,
Yes, absolutely.
Madam Chairman. Thank you. All right, I have no report. Any old business to come before the board? Any new business to come before the board?
Has anybody been down to Goodnow? They were talking about that they were maybe starting to pave it.
They were starting to pay their saw when I came back into town,
They started like over the weekend or something.
but it rained again, who knows, maybe it washed away.
What about,
Okay, but I'm invited to that.
yeah,
I thought they were.
what about Route 1, where there's a hole up here on,
I meant, somebody get on state or
We
do
did,
something with that.
Frank complained last week and we called IDOT.
Yeah, we call
I mean, there's cars swerving, you
Oh,
know, the
yeah.
trucks are swerving, the,
That's the one north of your
Right,
business.
Yeah.
right by his place, yeah.
It's like they fixed it, but it only lasted for 5 seconds.
Well, the
It's
big
just
trucks
sick.
can't push it,
Right.
especially the
If
heavy
they put
garbage
some
trucks
soft
going
stuff
south.
in there, maybe. It went down in 2 minutes.
It needs a permanent fix, it needs to be deep patch, it needs to be cut out and put in, not throw blacktop in the hole.
Right.
We'll make calls tomorrow. Any other new business? Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second? Questions? Doubts? Roll call.
Missouri?
Yes.
Basil?
Yes.
Brandon?
yes.
Ross?
Yes.